The official commencement of Operation Lockdown in the Western Cape. Lockdown in the Western Cape and the subsequent deployment of the South African National Defence Force in the crime hotspots of the Cape Flats and Cape Town Metropole. The announcement for the operation intervention was made during my budget speech in Parliament on the 11th of July 2019. Therefore, members of the media, allow me to give a brief background and context that necessitated government intervention in the form of the Operation Lockdown. A spark in cases of murder, attempted murder, and other serious violent crime in certain parts of Cape Town, in Cape Town townships and the Cape Flats, elicited an outcry from different sectors of society that called for immediate intervention in an effort to stabilize the situation. The unfortunate situation reached the pinnacle during the weekend of the 31st of May to the 2nd of June 2019, recording 73 murders. That was followed by shooting incidents in July 2019 that sent shockwaves in Philippi East when 13 murders happened within 48 hours. On that number of facilities, 6 young women between the ages of 18 and 26 were killed in one incident in Marcus Garvey. Young children in these communities have not been spared either, with some getting caught in the crossfire between warring gangs. As these violent incidents occurred, communities felt that they were under siege. Their cries for intervention grew even louder, prompting members of the National CPF board seeking an audience with the Minister of Police. Their plea was for intervention in the form of the deployment of the South African National Defence Force to areas plagued by violence, crime. Meanwhile, engagement continued between the police and some affected communities. All of the occurrences referred to above culminated in the announcement of the deployment of additional forces that include the SANDF to some parts of Cape Town, in a bid to quell violent incidents, thereby stabilizing the affected areas. Operation Lockdown was henceforth born. Under the auspices of the net joints, the integrated forces embarked on various intelligence-led operations, raids, cordon off, and searches. Roadblocks and vehicle checkpoints at about 15 identified precincts since 12 July 2019. Meanwhile, detectives, at times with support from uniformed members, have been hard at work executing search warrants in an effort to trace wanted suspects. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the progress made since the start of the operation. 1,004 suspects have been arrested for various crimes, including murder, attempted murder, armed robberies, and hijackings. Members of the media, tracing operations resulted in the arrest of 806 wanted suspects for series of crime, including domestic violence, armed robbery, hijacking, assault, GPH, and other cases. Others are behind bars for possession of firearms and ammunition, as well as dealing in drugs and alcohol. On the gang front, we continue making inroads in dealing with gang violence. Currently, 20 members of gang are before the Western Cape High Court. We may explain the deliberate not mentioning of the names of the gangs, that 20 of them are before the court at the present moment. They are charged in terms of POCA, which is Prevention of Organized Crime Act. The following have also been confiscated during the operation: 45 firearms, 1,036 ammunition, 78 knives, and an assortment of drugs and other illegal substances. As integrated force continue to conduct target operations, we realize that it is still early days as more operations are set to take place in the affected areas. We have also learned that policing efforts will be quite meaningful if the generators of crime are addressed. Illegal liquor outlets continue to aggravate serious violent crime. The proliferation of illegal firearms count for the majority of murder and attempted murder cases recorded. A range of socio-economic factors impede policing efforts in the communities plagued by serious violent crime. The challenge of learners who do not attend school further perpetuates the cycle of violence as they fall into hands of gang leaders and criminals. Poor lighting, access roads, and lack of formal housing are but some factors that adversely affect the policing of certain communities. Conclusion: the additional forces of the ground remain committed in ridding Cape Town communities of gang violence and its manifestation. We again urge members of the community to work closely with the joint security forces and support them with information on any criminal activities, be it the peddling of drugs, firearms, ammunition, and any planned attacks. In the same breath, we acknowledge the role played by the scores of community volunteers, neighborhood watches, crime fighters, and civil society in their efforts to rid communities of the scourge of criminality. We acknowledge that crime is stabilizing. However, we would have loved to see the figures dropping even further. With concerted effort, we are working towards reducing the figures even further. It is important to note that Operation Lockdown remains a temporary initiative. On the policing front, we need to prepare ourselves for a period when the additional forces are withdrawn. I've said this before and I will say it again. Criminals, particularly gangsters and gang leaders, your days are numbered. As the law enforcement arm, we realize so much still needs to be done. With community members working with us, we are confident on turning the corner in our quest to create safer communities. I thank you.
Thank you, Minister. I will just have to hear from you by show of hands. Who of you would like to pose questions? I've noted one hand, 2, 3. So it will be 1, 2, 3, 4. And we all know the protocol. Introduce yourselves and tell us the media house that you're representing. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Minister. Lindsay Dentlinger, ENCA. You're saying it's early days for this lockdown, but in reality there's just over a month to go in terms of the proclamation that the President sent to Parliament as to how long the troops will be on the ground. So is that enough time to make those inroads that you hope to achieve?
Dan Mayer, Sunday Times. Minister, I'd just like to know how you would grade the impact of the SANDF, maybe on a scale of 1 to 5, how you think that their efforts have been received by communities and in terms of crime fighting. Also the impact of confiscating weapons, how gun crime has been decreased. How do you grade the impact of that?
Kaylin from Eyewitness News. Just in terms of, we've obviously received information and concerns in the Manenberg community about the SANDF presence. They're saying that it's not effective. What is your response to that? Also, with 2 months left for the SANDF to be in the areas, is it too premature to say that they'll be staying for the next, exceeding the 3 months period?
Okay, Minister. Sisonke Mlamla from the Cape Argus newspaper. The question that Kaylin asked, I was going to ask that question as well regarding that. Is the army really working with the community, seeing that the community is also the one that is saying that the army is not functioning in their community, and also what is the strategy and plan with regards to the deployment of the army?
Thank you. May I see who else would like to pose a question? Okay, I'll take 2 more hands and then we'll go back to the minister.
Anela from the Swan newspaper. I would like to know, Minister, you said that illegal liquor outlets are still a problem. Why is it so difficult to close illegal shippings in the townships? And also, we have had some complaints about people being assaulted by members of the SANDF. Can you get a response on that as well? And after the period is finished, will there be more police officials deployed on the Cape Flats?
Good afternoon, Minister. Sunay from Daily Maverick. The first question is, you said that there were 1,004 suspects arrested during this period. Is that just suspects arrested, or does that include the amount of wanted suspects arrested? And the second question was, we keep talking about the SANDF deployment to all these areas on the Cape Flats and in the metropole, but will SAPS be working at police station level, because that's where most of the complaints come from? Police are not arriving on time, not doing their duty. Will SAPS be looking at that, and how...
Who's not arriving on time?
The police. Sometimes when you hear complaints are from community members that they have to wait an hour, 2 hours for the cops to arrive to their residential areas. Will you be looking at ways to ease that and just do a complete overhaul of the system itself?
I just have 2 more questions, sorry sir.
There are
Also
6
related
questions now. There are 6 questions. Can I answer and then you get, yeah.
Give it to me.
Okay.
Yes, we'll come back.
Okay,
round
come
2. Round 2. Thank you. Before I give over to the minister, Sunay, are you referring to the response time of the police? Thank you.
I don't think there is one person who asked this question of if there is enough time of the SANDF supporting soldiers. I think about 2 or 3 people that asked that question. The coming of the SANDF is generated by the need from the community through the South African police, that they put then the request to the Minister of Defense, and together they approach the President, and the time will be given. So if the need that generated their coming here still exists in that particular time, in the question of stabilization and sanitization of the crime, we'll take it at that time if we still do need to approach the President. So that will be determined by the time we reach the period that has been given to them by now. Maybe that leads to the question that has been asked, if then there will be time where the police should take the policing in these places, Cape Flats and other relevant places. Indeed it is so. In the statement as we read it, we said presence of soldiers can't be a permanent solution. They are here on a certain given time, stabilize, sanitize, and then the police will have to take over. We are preparing for that period. That's a period that we read towards the end to say not only the police, but other levels of government. We spoke about the lighting, we spoke about the housing, we spoke about the street, the cameras, we spoke about the involvement of the communities. That's a period that we are preparing for, that when that time comes, the post-presence of soldiers here, we are able to continue with life, because sure, soldiers can't be permanent here. So that's a question that was asked towards the end. The impact of the soldiers that was asked, indeed, it's answered again in the statement by saying we would have loved, because there is a stabilization that is happening, we would have loved that the stabilization have happened in much lesser numbers. You remember one weekend, we were 25 murders that happened, and we have gone back to 40s, including this weekend. So, but it looks like that's a number that has stayed on, which is a very high number for murders. We agree that we'll have to reduce that number and keep that that stability at that level, and don't keep it where it is now. Stabilizing, yes. Maybe that question also goes to the question of the communities not approving soldiers. I don't know what is the major of that call to call it communities. I don't know. There are, as you stand here, there are neighborhood watches. We have spoken to the chairperson. As neighborhood watch, they are very happy. Very happy. So I agree that you will meet the individual, but to say communities, it should be structured for you to say, to say it's communities. The call here was structured. The call was structured. We were approached by several CPFs and community members, including the national board. We sat down and that it was structured. So indeed, there will be individuals. There have been many individuals who say no, but in a structured way, the communities have been saying yes, including academia, who agree. By the way, let's all agree that is not an ideal world to send soldiers to communities. Let's all agree on that. That's why we all agree that is temporal. But for now, in a structured form, the communities have said they welcome the presence of the army here. Somebody raised the issue of the army personnel assaulting the community. I haven't had that except one incident where I heard that there was a punch-up. There was a punch-up between the member of the SANDF, of which we are investigating that matter. Definitely, if such a thing is raised, we'll have to investigate it. But I don't think it's generic. The way it's put is as if there is trouble. One incident, yes, we have had that incident. Investigation, yes, that is being investigated. I've answered the 3 months that it will be the end that we do. The effectiveness of the SANDF, the feedback that I've received up to this point is that people are happy, and the support they give to the police is enough and as expected for the police. Remember, the members of the Defence Force, they give support as per the police circuit. So if they go somewhere for raid, they go roadblocks and all that, SANDF members don't take the lead. They give the support to the police for them to do. And that support is appreciated by both the police at the present moment as the communities, as far as I understand. Illegal ship-ins, why are they not shut? Illegal ship-ins should be all shut down. That's a call. You don't have to ask first and second. So maybe to deal with illegal shipping as the only source of criminality is wrong. Ship-ins that break the law become illegal. One night we were patrolling here. We went to Kukuletu. The ship-in that they have a license of closing at 2. We came there 2:25 in the morning. They were still there and they were still dancing and everything. That is breaking the law. So any ship-in that is licensed but breaks the law becomes illegal. Any ship-in that is there but people die in their premises, it becomes illegal. So those are the things, even those. That's why we are in constant contact with the liquor board to say, work on this, these people are breaking the laws. But those that have no license whatsoever, we don't spend time, we don't negotiate, we shut those down. You talk about the figure of 1,000, and 1,004 are people that are arrested as these raids, as these roadblocks happen. But 806 are outstanding wanted. So that makes a total of 1,004. But there are those that are outstanding, which are 806 for different crimes that we have mentioned for. I think I've answered all this questions. More police in Cape Flats for after this time. More police in Cape Flats. Well, I've been saying this thing time and again. I believe so. At the present moment, we have 5,000 trainees in the South African colleges, and 1,000 of them come from this place, come from Western Cape. So the rest of the country, they are sharing 4,000. So 1,000 come from this, and that 1,000 will go back to Western Cape, which means come after December, you'll be having almost 1,000 additional police. I guess that 1,000 means more. Okay, thank you.
Noted you, Kaylin. Can I see who else? Okusha? Yes. After Kaylin, it will be Okusha. Okay, I think that's it. Yes. And the community is the media.
I would like to ask
Minister, I just would like to find out if there's any sort of update on the permanent appointment of the commissioner, the Western Cape Commissioner, Police Commissioner.
What you want to find about it?
Is there any sort of update, any progress, and when can we expect that?
You said you had two questions. Why do you ask one now?
It's like meshed into one.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, good.
Hi, Minister. Oguhle Hlati from the Cape Times newspaper. So you talked about 806 that were wanted, and the last time I checked, there were suspects that were wanted for the Philippi murders, and there was a ransom that was issued out. We never heard if maybe there were arrests regarding that the wanted suspects, where their pictures were also shown in the media, were arrested. And also speaking to the families, they said they haven't heard any update or any arrests regarding the Philippi murders.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Minister. Vanessa Puna from the SABC. You've mentioned 20 members of gangs that are currently before the courts. I'm just trying to clarify. Are these 20 members before the courts as a result of the deployment of the South African National Defence Force, or have they already been part of the criminal justice system before the deployment? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other hand? Because I would believe this is the last round.
Minister, Peter Abrams from the Sun newspaper. My question is, has the crime, has it moved into more sophisticated crimes being committed, such as the Mount Nelson Hotel, the robbery, jewelry robbery? There was another one, and this morning there was two mall robberies, one in Canal Walk and one in Kenwood Centre. Has the crimes committed by criminals, has it moved from the township into more sophisticated areas?
Thank you.
Okay. General Very will answer the question of Ogutle. Permanent appointment? Yes, it's all yours. There will be permanent appointment. We had to follow all processes. The advert is out of people that will apply and then interviewed, and we would have loved to do that in the shortest possible time. a month, but we are putting it on 2 months. By the time we will have the permanent commissioner of the Western Cape. We're working hard. We need to stabilize this area as soon as we can and make sure that the staple and the commissioner comes to put his team or her team going forward, and we work towards that. The last question will be crime more sophisticated. Crime has been always sophisticated. And that's why the police get sophisticated themselves going forward. You are asking the famous one of Mountain. Yeah. Maybe there is a question that I've been asking all the time, even from the media people. Where did you get the number 15? Everybody is saying there were 15 of those criminals. I've been asking, where did you get the number 15? Nobody knows where the number 15 came from. And the number, there were 11, not 15. Those criminals. That number now has been verified. It is so, 11, not 15. And then out of 11, 5 are arrested. And I guess some of them are even appearing in court tomorrow, some of them. They have been linked to some other cases. Looks like it's a certain group of sophisticated criminals, as you say. But the other thing is that we have managed, through our work, to identify the rest of them. I think we know who are seeking now. I hope the communities will help us to deal with those that are outstanding. The malls attack has been happening all the time, and that's why our intelligence, sometimes jointly, they are working on identifying those kind of people so that we are easy to arrest them. As I'm saying, we have arrested the guys from the hotel. We have arrested 3 now that murdered the Ukrainian tourist. Yes. Unfortunately, one of them is among the paroled person. Is a parolee, which sometimes does give the problem. That maybe the people that we think they have been rehabilitated, they have not been rehabilitated, causing that. On that one, surely you have heard the Minister of Tourism talking about some issues. We are working very closely on the matter of tourism and the Minister of Tourism, as we do want to maintain and keep South Africa as one of those preferred destinations of the tourists. You know that tourism is one area that creates jobs and is one area that keeps the economy floating. So we work hard, and the Minister of Tourism, Kupai Ngubane, and myself, we are working very close on the matter. Jeremy? So we'll do that. What was the other question? Except
the 20 gang members before courts.
Okay, the 20. There are ongoing investigations on these matters. The 20, most of them indeed, since they are arrested under POCA, these have been the programs going on. SABC, definitely they don't all fall under the present operation. There are some that the ordinary operation that are dealing with have been happening, but the present operation is also helping us to deal with those that are linked to those going forward. So it's a both that they've been there before the operation, and under the operation was still going forward. Jeremy will answer Ogutle.
Okay.
The question of...
Well, a few weeks ago, murders.
Yeah.
In terms of the Philippines murders a few weeks ago, there were 2 people arrested, and there's 1 we are going to still detain on this particular thing on that murders that we're hunting for.
You're fine, Ogutle.
The arrests were not executed with the ransom's assistance. It was done by the detectives on their own efforts.
We were still looking at this man, Ogutle. Sorry. Yeah.
I think that wraps our engagement, Minister, with the media. May I also indicate that the Minister will do a walkabout, a quick one, at the town centre. So feel free to join as we walk about at the town centre. I know there are people that are requesting one-on-one interviews. Ngoni, SABC. Can we quickly do it before we proceed to town centre? Thank you. Will you move forward, please? Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you, Deputy Minister.
Sure, my phone was on loud here.
Your phone was on loud?
It was going to ring. I was a bit nervous that it was going to ring.
Oh, okay. Colors, this is the song. Colors, this is